Hello, welcome to the pool room. David Bradley here. I had a thought, and that is, if I'm not moving around, and I'm just going to read something, I don't need to have the camera slash phone way over there. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read this article. That is a salt sculpture on the floor in 2007 of one of our wonderful art teachers, Gary Lowe, who I miss every day. And the title is When Grad Pranks Tank. Earl Hague Secondary Schools create a likeness of their art teacher out of table salt as a grad prank or something. Students urged to keep year-end hijinks fun, not destructive. Students, I should get my glasses. Students snuck a slip and slide into Leaside High School, set it up along a hallway, and brought in buckets of water to keep it slick. Then the fun begins. Teens in bathing suits or just regular clothes, running and gliding along the long plastic mat. While school administrators weren't thrilled about the prank by grade 12 graduating, the grade 12 graduating class last week, nothing was damaged and the punishment fit the crime. Clean up the mess. That was fair. We wouldn't expect the janitors to do that, said grade 12 student Zane Schwartz. The unwritten rule of student pranks is no person or animal gets hurt, no property is damaged, and nothing vandalized. And when they tank, it's usually because someone is injured or something destroyed. Dave Bradley, who has been a school-based safety monitor in the Toronto high schools for 20 years, said administrators are often willing to overlook rule breaking as long as it's done in good fun. Creativity is always applauded and tolerated, said Bradley, who now works at Earl Hague Secondary School. Vandalism, as you are seeing with the Vancouver riots, is not. Schwartz, student trustee for the Toronto Public Board, said the worst prank in Leaside history occurred years ago when students locked doors and then pulled the fire alarms. People had to escape by climbing out windows. Yeah, that's not good. That's the one teachers always talk about when it comes to the end of the year. As a warning, Schwartz added, however, as long as you're not hurting anyone or vandalizing anything, it can be a really fun experience to end the year. That wasn't the case for a group of graduating students in Oakville Trafalgar High School who landed in hot water after trying to recreate the video game Mario Kart, bringing shopping carts inside and flinging silly string streamers, tomatoes, eggs, and water balloons. When property is damaged or there is a concern for safety, that's where things cross the line, said Halton Board spokesperson Marnie Denton, adding the carts were stolen from a local plaza, a school window was broken, and a security camera ripped out. Some of those involved have accused the principal and the media of blowing the issue out of proportion. Denton said graduates who weren't involved in the prank helped custodians clean up. They recognized that things went too far and their classmates crossed the line, she said. It was a small group of kids and they got carried away. At Earl Hague, Bradley said, the student gags tend to be creative and tasteful and often done in the middle of the day for everyone to see. In 2007, visual art students brought a shopping cart full of boxes of table salt into the school and created a portrait of their teacher, Gary Lowe, on the floor of the rotunda area. It wasn't just tolerated, but celebrated, Bradley said, adding it was left in place for a week before Lowe vacuumed it up, of which students made a fast motion video. But Bradley has seen many a prank go awry, and students' futures, even scholarships, especially to the U.S. universities, in jeopardy. His advice: just be careful. I would hope that the youth of today are inspired to use their vast creativity and lessons from their educational experience rather than potentially ruining their future due to alcohol and stupidity. Can you imagine? Yes, I have seen um, things. Okay. The good, the bad, and the ugly. There's a thing down the middle here. The best and the worst of grab pranks in Toronto public high schools over the years. Students somehow got into North York Collegiate, hung a clothesline along the main hall, clipping boxers' briefs, thongs, and garters to it, and then put a staff member's name on each. Never saw, but I heard of that. Northern secondary students hid unnoticed in the school one evening and set up a children's pool and working fountain in the library. Actually, I heard about this. See, here's the thing, being in the neighborhood, you hear things. And the three schools around where I was at the time was Lawrence Park, North Toronto, Northern Secondary School. So I heard through the grapevine how these people had done this prank and how they'd managed to get out of the school without setting off the alarm. So in fact, I went over to Northern Secondary to say, this is how this was done. And they were kind of dismissive, but you see, they had on a lot of doors there in a lot of schools. There wasn't motion sensors, I think, at the time. What there was door things, and the door things were little things that basically were mounted up where the door was, and it was like a rectangular box, and there was a switch, like a little button, pop. And what these people had done, they'd hid in the library. I guess there was a bathroom there or something. They'd hid. They weren't found. They had all their supplies there, and there were three doors that led to the outside world. And what they did was make up little covers that went over the alarm things that looked like them. And if you would just, open the door or whatever, yeah, fine, yeah, there it is. It's like probably white or silver or gray or whatever, the black thing, and there's fine. Anyway, what I found out is that that's how they done it. So I went over not long after it. I didn't hear about it beforehand, but I heard about it afterwards. I went over and I said, this is supposedly how they did it. And they were like, oh, no. And I said, well, hang on. And I went to the door that led out of the library and I looked up. I said, look, the thing's still here. And went to the next door that led to the staircase and said, oh, look, it's still here. And then went to the door that led to the outside world and said, look, it's still here. Then they took it seriously and they got those things off of there. At Leaside High School, art students painted the parking lot so that all spots looked like they were reserved handicapped spots. No one had a place to park the next day. Forgot about that. Never heard about it at the time. Students at Lawrence Park managed to take everything out of two portables and set up the classrooms on the roof of each. I heard about that. That was not fun. Students glued pornographic images on portables at Lawrence Park. Staff arrived in the next morning, luckily before the glue had dried, and simply peeled them off before the start of classes. From then on, the portable was called the Pornable. Lawrence Park seniors held an annual camp out of the schoolyard with students collecting garbage for an artistic display out front, but it ended after one group decided they should go out into the neighborhood and slash car tires. Anyway, I don't know of what's happened lately when it comes to grad pranks. I don't know, I think more and more. Maybe they've fallen from grace, and that's just fine. Once again, violence, vandalism, graffiti, and stuff, that's not cool. Actually, there was another one not mentioned in here years ago at Lawrence Park when I was there. And I really can't get that to stand there. It was quite something. These people had come and done an incredible amount of vandalism with paint. And through an assortment of happenstances and things, they were caught. And their punishment was quite simple: clean it up, or you will not be allowed to participate in the commencement ceremonies, which happened back then. Probably doesn't do it anymore, but anyway, happened back then in over the long weekend. I guess Thanksgiving weekend. That's typically in the old days. That's what they did. Is commencement would not happen until the following Thanksgiving. But now that more and more schools are semester, that's probably not the way. Anyway, they did come in and clean it up. And I don't have much to say about that. But, you know, here's all I can say. When you show up and do such things, now there were no cameras, but when you drive in one of your parents' cars and somebody from the neighborhood happens to jot down a license plate number, you're probably going to get caught. Anyway, well, that's all I have to say about that. Thanks for coming to the pool room. I'll see what else I get into. I shall. As I look around here, there's no end of stuff. There's more magazines. What are these magazines? I don't know. I just don't know. And there's a bunch more. Oh, look. Here's another calendar. This one is from 1966. It's almost as old as I am. But once again, you know what? A picture like this, which obviously creates the illusion that somebody is unclad, is more enticing than somebody who is unclad, and you can see everything. I'm just going to pull this out for a second. Okay. Well, you know how I said there's nobody who's ever wearing nothing? Well, okay, this picture here I'm glazing at is, they're really not wearing anything, but there's kind of a pillow in the way, sort of, but the pose is tasteful. And it's funny, the name of this person in this one is Joe Collins. And that happened to be the name of the librarian at my senior public school. And there was always the rumor that she was she. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. Um, I think the name was the same. But see, I would have been there not that long after. Well, no, maybe 10 or 11 years supposedly after that was done. And she certainly looked an awful lot older than somebody who might have been, fairly recently featured on such a calendar and in such a magazine. All right, more to do. The next things I have to do here are I can get around, I would think, about 80% of the table. But over here, there's a filing cabinet and there's other stuff that needs to be moved. And in just glancing, I see what looks like a couple of 128, 128D, a couple of Commodore typewriters. Is that a monitor? No, that looks like a radio and a tape player thing. Imagine, we used to do mixtapes. There's a monitor, though. Yeah, anyway, I'm thinking I will do some more stashing under the table. But of course, I have to test things. I do. And yes, I keep on threatening, but I think I will. start some. I'm always tormented about what to do on selling things. Um, I suppose the easiest thing to start off with is monitors. So I can test them, I can torture test them, I can make sure they're just dandy and sell them, hopefully locally, without much um, trouble. I think I can. Um, but then of course, and then of course, when it comes to 1541s, I think I'll just start listing individual chips to help people fix theirs, or the drive, just the drive mechanism and such. And then of course, there's always the thought that, well, I should do it. I remember this fellow I worked with for a little while. He said, "Oh, it's not just a whatever; it's a system. Got to put a whole system together." And that meant, of course, a monitor, a disk drive, a printer, a computer, of course, whatever cords, power supplies. Desk covers were a big thing. What else? Oh, maybe joysticks, maybe a game or two. That was a system. It was. Oh, I see more parts and covers and things and such, which is not a bad thing. But I just got to get at it. And yes, indeed, it's funny because I don't really want to do Amigas here. I don't, but there's a lot of them. But then there's Amigas other places too. Anyway, thanks for coming. Have a lovely, lovely day. We'll see you again soon. Back here in one room or another. Maybe I'll read some more things from Run Magazine. The thing I must remember, of course, is get and have my reading glasses handy. Bye for now.